What if William Wallace had won at Falkirk? What if history didn't end where we think it did? What if, on that rain-soaked morning in 1298, William Wallace, the outlaw, the rebel, the voice of Scotland, had not fallen at Falkirk, but triumphed? Imagine a world where the name Longshanks meant defeat, where the Stone of Scone never left Scottish soil, and where the dream of freedom came true centuries earlier. This is that story. A story of a single battle that could have rewritten the fate of nations. The fields of Falkirk tremble beneath the hooves of English cavalry. Arrows darken the sky. History remembers this day as Wallace's fall. His schiltrons shattered, his men scattered. But what if they hadn't? In this alternate world, Wallace sees Edward's trap. He draws the English deeper into the bog, where the cavalry's charge falters and dies. His schiltrons, circles of spears and courage, hold the line. The English archers loose their arrows, but the mist and wind betray them. Scottish shields rise, and arrows break like rain on stone. Then, from behind the ridge, Wallace leads his hidden riders. They crash into Edward's flank, a roar like thunder rolling through the valley. When the sun breaks through the smoke, the unthinkable has happened. Scotland has won. The victory at Falkirk changes everything. For the first time, Scotland stands united, not as rebels, but as a nation reborn. Farmers, clansmen, nobles, all rally behind the same flag. Even Robert the Bruce, torn between ambition and fear, kneels before Wallace, declaring, "You fought for Scotland when others only fought for power." Edward I retreats south in humiliation, his armies broken, his empire shaken. The hammer of the Scots has struck his last blow, and it has shattered in his own hand. Wallace refuses the crown. Instead, he speaks words that echo through time. No man can rule a free people. Freedom rules us all. From the highlands to the lowlands, bells ring, fires burn, and for the first time in memory, Scotland breathes free. Word of Scotland's victory spreads like wildfire across Europe. In France, they call Wallace Le Fantôme du Nord, the Phantom of the North. In Ireland, whispers rise of rebellion. Even Wales dares to hope again. The mighty English Empire begins to fracture before it is born. Edward's grip weakens, his nobles quarrel, his soldiers desert. And while England bleeds, Scotland blossoms. Trade flows through the North Sea. Merchants build ships that carry not tribute, but ambition. Universities rise in Edinburgh and St. Andrews decades early. Instead of centuries of war, Scotland enters a golden age of learning, culture, and courage. And Wallace? He becomes not a martyr but a mentor, a living symbol of freedom. A leader not crowned by kings but chosen by his people. Across the Channel, the ripples grow larger. Without Scotland's submission, Edward's dream of a British Empire dies young. England turns inward, consumed by civil wars and rival claims. Without Edward's domination of the Isles, France strengthens, unchallenged. The 100 Years' War never happens as we know it. Centuries of bloodshed are replaced by a new kind of rivalry, of trade, knowledge, and art. By 1400, Scotland and France stand as partners, an alliance of culture, language, and defiance. A century later, the world discovers the New World, and it's Scottish ships, not English ones, that sail first across the Western Sea. Imagine that. A world where New York might have been New Stirling. Centuries pass. Scotland becomes a nation that others look to for inspiration. Its poets sing of liberty, its philosophers shape the Enlightenment, and its explorers chart the edges of the map. Perhaps the American founders quote Wallace instead of Jefferson. Perhaps freedom itself carries the lilt of a Scottish accent. But most of all, perhaps the world learns earlier that power built on fear can never outlast courage built on faith. Wallace lives to old age, his sword resting by the hearth, his name whispered not in mourning, but in gratitude. And when he dies, the people of Scotland light torches from one coast to the other. They say the wind that night carried only one word across the glens: freedom. Of course, this never happened. History took another path. Wallace fell at Falkirk, and Scotland's dream was delayed, not destroyed. But every time someone stands for justice, every time a voice rises against tyranny, his spirit stirs again. Because freedom is not a